good morning or good evening, wherever you're at. My name is Johan from Johan's Odyssey, and today I'm again joined by Daren from Wisdom Warriors. We're back with the third episode of the Awakening podcast, and yeah, we've already been sort of talking a little bit, off camera. Although we've been discussing a few things that would have been really good on camera, but regardless, we have a lot of things to say and discuss as usual, and we hope that you all get a lot out of it.
How you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, and hope you enjoyed the first installment of many of them of the Awakening. Yeah, man, we're just gonna lead into it, and you know, I feel like this one, man, Johan, I feel like I was a little stiff in the first one. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
same. I found
yeah, yeah,
I found especially with the intros and all that, it was a little bit like
yeah.
awkward with the timing at first, but I think now we're really getting into like a good flow.
Yeah, good flow and just, yeah, like smoother and, vibing and all that, because yeah, I felt like I was like a statue or something, like, hello. Yeah, so I felt like I had to lean in more like, okay, like the word I got in the Akashic Records, like more authentic, so yeah, so that's what I'm gonna work on that too, man. It's something I'm working on. Um, so what do you want to roll this one out with?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good topic what you just mentioned about, authenticity, because like I feel like just the way that society conditions us to live our lives with, addiction especially, like it really prevents us from being our true authentic selves. So I think authenticity is a great place to start.
Okay. And you're right, man, because oh man, I've been hearing this like multiple times already, and I'm like, okay, let me pivot differently, like how I'm recording these videos or how I'm delivering, my information or the content, or like I feel passionate, I feel lit up, but then I guess there's still a lot, like maybe, like I said, like I felt stiff in the last one, or just like not really like I don't know, like yeah, I mean, I don't know if you noticed that, but when I was watching it in the premiere, I saw that,
Mm.
I don't know how you felt with yourself, but I definitely, it's something I'm working on, man. And you're right, because I feel like we feel like we're being judged, and even it's
Yeah,
just by
yeah,
family or
definitely. I
whatever,
mean,
right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, like if you went back, a few months ago, I probably would have still done it. But if you go back like, a year or longer, I would never do anything like this. Like in school, I always hated, doing presentations and just anything where I'm just forced to like basically be out there in front of people. Like I'd always just I hated all of that. Like I
Yeah,
I, I always
going on in
don't.
front of the class, and like reading some
Oh,
freaking report you
oh.
did. Yeah, same
Even
here,
even
man.
be even something simple like being picked on for just a question, basically. It's just
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just always yeah, yeah. I always just prefer to like just hide under a rock basically, and that's basically how I've been my whole life, and that's why I'm so grateful to like really be doing this because it's like I think for myself and I don't and even you maybe as well. It's like finally just stepping out and just becoming being our true authentic selves like on camera in front of people. Like I mean, it's still a small podcast for now, but especially as more people find, as more people as it keeps on growing, it will yeah, more and more people will see it. Like you don't know who's watching this, but it's like it's really I'm just really grateful for that. It's really
me
beautiful.
too, man. Like, when I was well, I always found myself like doing like backstage stuff. I wanted to like be in the film like industry, and I wanted to also like DJ. Like for some reason so like in high school we had a radio station, and I was a DJ on the radio station, but I remember like freaking out. It was a media class, and we had to do media, like we had to make like commercials and all different kinds of things, in the media class. And but I remember being on the radio station. I remember having a friend in the area I lived. Oh, I used to listen to your radio station, man. I was your biggest fan, and no, that was the only person I really heard from that, but I always wanted to be like I I found myself following people that were in bands. I wanted to be like a musician or somebody on stage or somebody in front of, but I grew up bullied. I grew up isolating myself. I had a traumatic growing childhood growing up, and so it kind of pushed me inward, but yet that wasn't my purpose. And now I see myself, well, I saw myself as a kid, like in front of, I envisioned like me in front of huge audiences doing something. I don't know. I didn't know what. I had amnesia, like we all do. So, but that's what I envisioned. And like now it's kind of it's starting to come to fruition. Like these are all steps that are being taken, like even this YouTube, the YouTube channel, the podcast that I've been working on, all these things are kind of leading me to what I envisioned being a big purpose, but I didn't know how it was going to come about. I still don't really fully know how this is going to unfold. But it's very similar and interesting you say about you, and that's the one thing, man, because everybody, like, I feel like we're conditioned to get, well, at least, I mean, let me ask you a question. Um, when you grew up, did you feel like you were loved unconditionally, or do you feel like you were loved conditionally, and not only by friends but also family? Like me, it was always conditional, and I've been seeking unconditional love, where all of you is accepted and you can be your full authentic self. But when you're in relationships with family, friends, and just people around that conditionally love you, and like it's an expectation, like you have to, like, if you don't do this for me, then I'm not going to talk to you anymore, type of thing. You know what I mean? And that's what I found myself around all the time and experiencing. I don't know about you, but and it sucks because it doesn't
Yeah,
allow
yeah,
you
there
to
was
be authentic.
definitely, yeah, I definitely feel that there was more conditional love in my life. And I mean, I overall, like my childhood, it was really honestly really a mixed bag. Like there were some really good parts, that there were definitely parts where I did feel like some unconditional love, but like overall, like I feel like the conditional love, from, like just, friends, wider family, society, that sort of just overrode everything. And especially with my experiences in school, it was, yeah, just some parts of it were really, really, traumatic. I never fit in. There were some, issues with bullying and all of that. And I always tended to just go off and just isolate myself, basically. I mean, I had a few, at the times I called them friends, but them really more, acquaintances, really,
Yeah.
certain people I would hang around with. But for quite a long time, really, I would just basically isolate myself. Like, what I would do at lunch breaks, for example, like I would go to the library, and I just be in the back corner basically, reading books. Like I'm like to this day, I've always been very, very interested in, like, history and geography. Those are some of my, subjects that I'm most interested in. I've always liked reading. I've always liked learning about that. So yeah, at the library, I would always spend time, doing that basically. And yeah, it was a way of, I really, I had some really good, actually, some good memories from that, because it's like, I was really interested in those topics and learning, but, underlying that, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of loneliness. And it's like, it's only recently that I've started to really connect those feelings and understand, so that's what really drove me to do that. Um, and for a long time, I was just really, angry and bitter about, like, why did I have to go through all that? Why did I have to suffer all that? Why couldn't I just fit in and all of that and just
Yeah.
be like the rest of society? But like now, I sort of see it very differently, because like, going through all of that, I feel has actually been for a higher purpose, because it's like I've always known, from my age, especially in certain subjects, I do have a lot of knowledge, and that's really from, yeah, just spending a lot of time, reading and all of that. And I think, like, with some of that knowledge, that really helped drive me and push me into a certain direction, where I really started to, basically what happened was, I guess, by going through all of that, and not fitting in, it's like it really just, like, we all want the world to be a certain way. We all want to live in a world, a society, where people love each other unconditionally, where we are all encouraged to really, I guess, live and follow our soul desire, and we're really
Hmm.
we're all encouraged to be our true authentic selves, like no none of the BS basically that our society conditions us with. So I guess um I recently have come to the understanding that like my push for looking at history and you know trying to really it came from a drive to want to understand the world. I was like questioning like why is it like this? Why can't it be you know how why can't it be how we want it to be, like why can't there be unconditional love? Why do we have to have all these problems? Why is there war? Why is there famine? Why is there disease?
Same here, yeah.
Why is there all of this stuff? So that really pushed me to try and find answers. So of course I looked into history, and of course through looking at history, that really changed my perspective, because I sort of realized that number one, I mean, our modern society is just like, in the grand scheme of history, how long civilization has been here, how long humanity has been here, it's like a blink of an eye. And it's like when you really look at history in that way, it's like you really see that there's definitive, cycles, seasons almost, where like, yeah, civilizations come, they rise, and then they'll sort of reach an apex and then basically fall. And it's like, all these things, like I guess like war, famine, disease, like they've really been constants throughout our existence. And like I guess for a while people were saying in the modern world that like these things were finally changing, we're finally overcoming that. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you look at the world nowadays, I mean, there's still war, disease and all of that. And yeah, I guess that's what really drove me to this desire to really understand why. That really drove me to want to understand the world more. So that's why I really, I guess, learned about different countries, cultures, and parts of the world. And like, and it also in a way also one of my the way I guess my ways of coping with all of that was, which was actually I guess really beneficial, was spending time out in nature. Because
Hmm.
after looking at all this history and all that, I sort of realized that when like I was seeking out all these definitive, trying to find all these definitive answers. But the more I read of history, the more I looked into it, like the more I found that it's like I don't know. Like the more you essentially the more you try to understand and really come to a definitive understanding of why the world is the way it is, the more confusing it can tend to get. Because it's like I guess the mind wants to our human brains want to sort of see things as black and white, monochromatic. But especially when you try and look at the world in its entirety, when you look at the immense complexity and beauty of nature and the world around us, I guess like I started to realize that this is so much more complex than I could really even imagine.
God,
And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
so yeah, so I essentially tried to understand the physical world basically. um, but then eventually I found I got to a point where it was no longer, working. Like the answers I was seeking, just I wasn't finding them. And that's, I guess, when instead of looking outside in the external world, I started to go more within. I started to look more into, like some of the, philosophical teachings from history. I looked at all these different, religious texts, spirituality, trying to find answers there. And that's, I guess, really over the past 18 months, 1.5 years, that's really been when my spiritual journeys really kicked off. Until then, I was for quite a few years I was pretty much an atheist. And not outwardly. I mean, I was sort of, I guess, open to the idea of like maybe there's a higher power, but I don't know. I can't see. I was in the space where it's like, oh, if I can't see it, if I can't hear it, it must not exist, basically.
Yeah, I think I was like that. Well, in my 20s, yeah, in my 20s, man, I was like against everything, I was like anarchist, like I was against the government, I was against everything, and I didn't believe anything because as we were talking about, you know, having gotten or having been got having or going through like psychic abilities coming up and things like that as a child, man, is like, in this kind of world, especially back then, none of that stuff was normalized. You know what I mean? So it was like, um, and then the way I looked, and the bullying. And I mean, it was intense bullying I went through, you know. At middle school, elementary school, I experienced bullying by the counselors in sleepaway camp. You know, it was just it was ongoing, man. And so yeah, I isolated myself a lot of the time too. And all I kept coming across was relationships that were conditional. And if you didn't do this for me, then like they would yell at you or isolate you or ostracize you, you know. And I've been seeking nothing more than relationships now that are unconditional, that they're give and take, and there's a balance in them. Like I feel like with me and you in our relationship, you know, there's a balance, there's a give and take, there's, you know, it's like you accept me for who I am, and I accept you for who you are. And you
Yeah.
know, and it's like I feel like we're coming more into that, but that's not how it's been. It's not how I grew up, and um, it sucks. Um, it's like you constantly feel like you then the people pleasing comes in, and then you know, you start people pleasing to be accepted and loved, and then you start going falling into the peer pressure of, you know, oh yeah, just drink this, and then you drink this, or you eat stuff that you don't feel called to eat because you just want to fit in, or you do drugs, or you drink, or you have sex, or whatever the hell the case may be, just to be accepted in these cliques and groups. And I feel like that's not only in high school and middle school, that's ends up following you into an adult, because we want to be accepted. And but I feel like
Mm.
if you grew up in an unconditional love family or relationship or dynamic and you experience that, I don't feel like you would need any of that stuff. And I feel like the addictions wouldn't play a part or any of it. I think, yes, we're all like the ones that go through it are seeking all of it because so then you can't be authentic, man, which I found out so many times with
Mm.
so many people. Like I had to hide parts of me to be friends with you, not you, but you know what I mean? I'm generalizing it. Like I had to like be fake. I had to create all these, wear all these masks to
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely
you know,
masks.
oh, go to this job and wear this mask at this job, and then go like this friend, I have to be this certain way, and then this family member I have to act like this because they don't like these parts of me. It's like, what the like I'm like so then you're just suppressing everything, and then you're not even being yourself, and you're being fake, faking it till you make it, you know. And just pretending everything, man. It's like everything is like and then you're attaching to all these different identities, you know, like let me be this identity at this job and this identity to this friend. And it's like, man, it really becomes a disaster, and it sucks. And I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate, because I feel like a lot of us have gone through conditional relationships. I don't want that anymore, man. I'm looking for somebody to meet. If you're going to be my friend or a romantic partner or just in my life in general, you have to meet me where I meet myself. And if that doesn't happen, I don't even, I'm not, I'm done. I'm done with those relationships. They're just, they don't serve our, like us, our highest good, you know? I don't know what you feel about that, but I'm sure everybody feels that way, you know? I feel like we're just fed
Mm.
up with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely seriously fed up with it because it's like growing up, I feel like when I was a child and when we're all children basically, when we first, especially in our formative years, it's like you can look at any child really and they'll be pure, they'll be, authentic, like they're not going to have any masks on. But I feel like
Yeah.
especially through school and the education system, I think that's really where it starts. I mean, of course, like the way the parents raise and all of that, but it's like, especially I think in post-industrial societies, the way the school system is set up, basically, it's essentially, of course, set up to, they don't want, free independent thinkers. They want just factory workers, basically. Just
Yeah.
everyone needs to be the same, and like all of that. And like in my experience, like I got when I was first getting into when I first got into like, because here in Australia we don't have a middle school, it's just primary school and high school. It was like late primary school. Um, yeah, I got, bullied really badly, and then yeah, and then when I was, going into high school first, that's when I guess the trauma and pain from that experience being bullied and all of that, because like I always tended to be more of, I guess, a late bloomer, more or less up until my early teenage years. So I was really, picked on for that and all of that. And yeah, and then when I got to high school, I sort of developed a very different persona. I feel like I grew this very hard concrete shell around me, which was essentially a defense mechanism almost of trying to, protect myself. So then basically I developed this persona where, I wore all these masks. I had this thick concrete shell around me, like where I basically gave up with everything in terms of trying to fit in and making friends. And I basically just, I always stuck by myself. I didn't talk to anyone much unless I needed to. And I basically just didn't acted as if I didn't care about anything. I never showed any emotion. I was completely just emotionless all the time, really. And yeah, the only time I would let myself be truly authentic is when I was completely, by myself. And it was during that time where all this crap just came up. And yeah, that was when the addictive behaviors were really, really terrible. Because of course, it's like when you suppress all those feelings and you try to basically put on this persona, it's just like it's fucking tiring. It just drains
Yeah.
your whole
Oh yeah.
energy.
Oh
It's
yeah. Oh
insane.
yeah.
It's
And it's like a
exhausting.
volcano. It becomes a volcano,
Yeah.
man. And then you're trying to numb it all, because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
numb it all.
volcano.
Basically, try to
Yeah.
bring it under control. And like addiction is really, I guess, one of the main ways that that happens. And yeah, I mean, for a long time, what my main addiction was, gaming. I would essentially try to escape into, the game world and just forget about my existence here. And yeah, then of course, discovering, porn and all of that. That got worse. Junk food, and yeah, yeah, it just really spiraled out of control. And it's like that's why now, I mean, I'm finally getting to the point where that shell is eroding away. I mean, I'm still, especially when I go out in public, it's still, it's still there to a small degree, but it's definitely, I can feel the shell is cracking, especially when I'm here and when I'm recording videos and all of that. And with more and more people, I finally feel that I'm being my being my true authentic self, and it's really liberating. You don't have to put on this facade all the time. It's like,
No.
yeah, with regards of meeting people, making friends, potential relationships in the future. Like I'm not down for any of this, conditional stuff anymore. It's like no, it's like I'll be my authentic self, and it's like you'll either like me or you won't like me. But it's like I'm done playing games basically.
Yeah, that's how I feel, man. And I've used the word, if you don't meet me where I meet myself, then I'm not interested, like I'm not gonna like uh you know like uh have, I mean, yeah, you got to have surface level conversations, I guess, with some people, but I don't even like doing that really anymore,
Mm,
like I just really feel like I'm bursting out of the seams to just be who I am, and it's like I'm meeting all these different people that just they accept me, and I don't really have to, again, there's parts of me that I think I'm still kind of, I don't know, like when 2020 hit and I hit rock bottom, um, and I stopped dating and stuff like that, I feel like I left parts of me, like because I used to have like more. I mean, and that could have had something to do with the porn and all that kind of stuff too, because I don't I don't have that anymore unless it comes out when I'm dating someone, which I haven't dated anybody in a while, so I don't really know, to be honest. But I had like a very like an extremely dirty mind, and I don't feel that anymore. Like people would just say a certain word, and my mind would go right to a dirty thing that you can connect that word to. Like someone say, like a female that I'm attracted to would use the word like, I'm gonna come over here, but then my mind would go to
mm.
dirty place. You know what I'm saying? Like
Ah, yeah,
that's
yeah, I can relate to that.
that's how, like, but I don't feel that anymore. Like to be that way, like just certain words would would um magnify it would connect to a sexual thing, or I'd use sexual innuendos, or just like I don't know. I was just really like had a dirty ass mind, and I think that had a lot to do with the porn too, because I don't find that to be the case anymore,
Mm.
um, and but
Yeah, yeah, and
I've I've left.
sorry, yeah, the crazy thing with my experience that I found was like, if you probably would have asked, I guess people who knew me in real life when I put on that facade with that thick concrete shell, they would probably have been shocked to know the depth of, my addiction with, gaming, porn, and all of that. They would never probably, expect that. That's really because, we only see the version of other people that they chose to put out there, and it's the
Hmm.
same with
True.
way, like people can only see the parts of us that we choose to show, and that's why when we really step into authenticity and just be our authentic self, it's really so liberating, instead of just putting on this fake mask all the time, where it's like you're in front of some people you act a certain way, and then in other people completely different.
You're totally right. Yeah, it's like freeing, and um yeah, I guess I'm still like in that process, because I'm kind of, and I feel like maybe for you too, I don't know 100%, but I mean for me,
Yeah, I'm definitely still in that process. I'm not
yeah,
I'm not perfect by any means.
no,
Like when I go out in public, when I go, shopping, things like that, I still find myself sort of in that space, and anxiety and all that will come up. But I think the most important thing is, at least, it's like when you develop that awareness, when you're aware of it, and you know that you're on the right path, you're working on it.
yeah, and like I'm starting to realize my worth and my value, which I feel like you are too, because I've seen them in your videos, and so that's really huge growth. Like my worth, what I'm worth, what I have to offer, my value, which I never had any of that. My self-confidence. I'm still working on that. You know, I feel like that's a never-ending process, but that all goes hand in hand with authenticity, and feeling like, well, I guess it also comes down to being authentic and not caring what anybody thinks, and which is not easy in the world we live in, with social media and all this kind of stuff, and even YouTube, and getting likes and subscribes, and like you're measured if your channel's like got a blue check and it's 150,000
Mm,
subscribers or a million, versus like if you have 50, and
mm,
it's sad that the state of the world is that way, but the more and more we can step into being authentic and not caring what anybody thinks is freeing. But it's a process, man. It's like I told you about that how they said in the Akashic records, we have the book, this big, huge, thick book, and our whole lives are in there, and we want to get to the damn end. And we don't want to put in that growth process that starts like right here, and then we just want to go here instead of what about the middle, like we want that 100,000 subscribers but not do what it takes to, and I feel like that also is growth too, getting to that 100,000 subscribers is the growth of you, or that
mm.
process in between, like you said, the journey, not the destination,
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's so easy to, visualize the destination and see, oh, I want this, I want that, those are my goals. But the most important thing is the journey. Like, what's the the small steps that you can take every single day, like to go and just to go after it, and you just go and get it, basically. And it's like you don't have to perform miracles like every single day. I think the most important thing is consistency. It's like, even for example, something like the gym. If you've never worked out before and you decide, all right, I'm going to go 7 days a week, I'm going to do, like, let's just say, like, 2 plus 2 hour workout 7 day a week. If you've never done that before, it's like you're going to get burnt out, and then it's like it's not gonna you're not gonna get towards your fitness goals, compared to, let's say, you're like, all right, well, I'll start small. Let's say I'll do, an hour 5 days a week or something like that, and I'll take 2 rest days. Like, that's developing that consistency. That's, I think, a much with anything. I think consistency is one of the biggest keys. It's not about achieving perfection straight away. It's not about getting to the destination straight away. It's about, yeah, just being on the journey, enjoying the journey, and just yeah, going with the flow and just letting go, basically.
Yeah, being all of you.
Mm,
Like I, I, I don't know, man. I don't think we can really fake it anymore. I really don't. I really think that the energies are changing so much that we're being forced by the universe to step into our, like, that's what I keep hearing about go time. And it's now. And we like now is the time, like we have to be ourselves authentically. And I keep getting those messages. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure any. I'm sure. I bet you, if anybody opened up their records, probably the same damn thing would come through for every damn person about coming from the heart. Because I keep hearing it. And I'm doing a lot of readings every week, and it's like everything is like come from the heart, trust, have trust, which is the hardest thing for anybody to do. Like trust, if you're not making any money, it's not coming in. You have to trust and lean in, right? And coming from the heart and stepping in the unknown and the authenticity. And I just feel like every relationship I'm coming across, I can't fake it anymore. There's no alignment and I'm not authentic, then it's just we're being repelled like a magnet. Like how you take a magnet and then you put it the opposite way and it's like pulling apart. I feel like that's essentially what's happening to a lot of us. If you're not if that relationship is not fully authentic, it's not going to work. It's not in alignment. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't. And I feel like it's been too long that we've been faking this shit on
yeah.
Instagram, on social media. You're out in a parking lot and you see somebody's got a Bentley and you take a selfie and then you post it on Instagram like it's yours. You know what I mean? And like, or it's like just a lot of fakeness, a lot of you're not gonna actually post like the messy parts of your life. You're only gonna post the good things, and it's just like it's those days I feel like are numbered, man. I feel like we have no choice anymore but to be
Mm.
authentic. And I don't want it any other way. Like you said, man, fuck that shit, man. I'm tired of it, dude. I'm tired of these conditional relationships, man, and expectations, like having expectations of what you have to be like and what you have to show up like. I don't want to do that. I want to show up how I want to show up, you know? So yeah, I it's beautiful though, man, if you really think about it, where
It
we're
is.
headed,
Yeah.
where we're
Yeah.
headed.
Yeah. It really, really is. It
It
really is.
has
It's
to
just
crumble and collapse, dude, because that's what happens, like we have to go through the darkness to get to the light, to get to the sun, to get to the other
yeah,
side. Like,
100%. All these old structures and all these things that have not been serving us, they need to be torn down and then from the rubble essentially rebuild and rebuild something
yeah,
even better,
yeah,
something more beautiful.
yeah. And I'm hearing it, man. I'm telling you, I think this is probably where we should wrap it up and come full
Yeah, yeah.
circle.
It's I've got to go actually as
Yeah.
well, but
So, I
yeah,
mean,
I know you have to go. So
it's like I'm hearing like all these people talk about like multiple people in different areas, like community. Like we were even talking about this, which we'll talk about in another video more about like self-sustaining. I'm hearing that so much now from different people that are not even in the same area, like community growing, like growing their own foods and
mm,
and helping each other. Like I know how to do this and you know how to do this, so we each do that for each other, type of thing. Like exchanging our talents and our gifts, versus like this money exchange. But we'll get into that in a whole nother video. But yeah, it's beautiful, man. And
yeah.
this, even as short as this is, man, I think this is such a amazing
Yeah, yeah, it's a
compilation.
really
Yeah,
great topic. And
yeah,
yeah, and for sure. I mean, we're doing a bit of a different time at the moment, which I think will be more of a long-term time. It will be more sustainable, so I won't have to, do it so late, and it'll be also not too early for you. So
yeah.
yeah, I think it'll really work well. And next time we'll try and start a little bit earlier so we have a bit more time. But yeah, regardless, this has been really good. I hope you guys have all enjoyed.
Hope you enjoyed this next installment. I don't want to say what installment because we're kind of like, we have some, I guess, other content we're gonna give you guys that's already been we've already done. But yeah, man, thank you, man. You're amazing, brother. I'm so
Mm,
Grateful that we connected and the universe brought us together. And this is going to be an amazing journey, man. I already see growth in you, and um, I feel it in myself. And yeah, it's beautiful, man. It's going to be amazing, amazing collaboration, and it's going to turn into who knows what, much more things to come. And yeah, man. Thank you, and thank you everybody. And I hope you enjoyed the first one we posted. And enjoy the rest.
yeah, yeah, and likewise, I'm really glad to have met you as well, and just for both of us to really be on this journey and sharing all this, and yeah, and just for everyone else watching, I hope you all got a lot out of it. It's yeah, yeah. I mean, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come.
Yeah, man. Take care. Johan's Odyssey, Wisdom Warriors. Check us out on
Yep,
YouTube.
yep.
Uh,
Like, subscribe, hit the bell button.
yes, yes. So you get those notifications. All right. All
Yeah,
right, man. Take
yeah.
care.
See you all later.
See y'all later, man.